Welcome. I'm Dr. Lydia Mortis, Director of CETL, and today we're going to cover how to build a new quiz on Canvas. It's going to be a basic introduction, so if you have any question or you want to meet with me, then please reach out. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to lincolnu.instructure.com. This will take us directly to our Canvas. You will have to sign on with your same credentials if you're not already signed on. I am going to choose my course. It may be that your modules page is the same as your home page, but just in case it isn't, go to your modules page here. Now, we're going to always build our quizzes through the modules. We're not going to go directly to the quizzes on the left side. I actually disabled this for students because I want them to be able to know when they have to take a quiz. I want them to relate that quiz to the content in the module, not to see all of the quizzes that are possible in the course. So I disable quizzes. I typically disable pages. I disable files, and I make sure all of those things like assignments are inside of the module. So let's go to module, and I'm going to call this module 3. You can give your modules a title. Think of your module as a unit of content, and usually there's some kind of big assessment at the end of a module. Let's go to this plus sign where we've created our module on the right. And from this drop-down menu, we're going to go to quiz, create quiz. I'm going to create a new quiz. Name your quiz. Let's call this module 3 quiz. Add item on the bottom right. And now we have our quiz. This is a quiz shell, so now we have to build the quiz. So we're going to click on this quiz. It will take us to this page, so we can give our points here, or we can give the points later. We can fill out the information with the due dates, or we can wait after we've built the quiz. I'm going to go to the bottom right where it says build to build my quiz. Now, I am going to go ahead and build this quiz by first using the pencil button here. This pencil button will allow me to change my instructions here. So I'm going to go to this pencil. I'm going to say, take this module pre-quiz after you finish the reading. I'm going to click done. You can put more instructions here. I'm going to click the blue button, plus button here in the middle to select my types of questions. Let's go with multiple choice. And I'm going to name my multiple choice question. I'm going to call it multiple choice module 3 quiz as shorthand for me to remember. Let's see, what color is a blueberry? Again, this is a text box, so you can do all kinds of things. You can add video, you can add images, you can add a document, and you can even add external tools here. Okay, so first answer, going to say blue, which is the correct answer, indicated by this filled in here. And here I'm going to write in green, write in orange, and write in yellow. Now I have my quiz question. I can also mark the correct answer by marking a different correct answer. I can align this with institutional learning outcomes. I can align it with program learning outcomes or course learning outcomes here. I can add this to a bank. So I can use an existing item bank if I've already created one, or I can create a new bank. I recommend when you create your banks that you don't mix multiple choice and closed answer questions with essay questions, because if you were to create a randomized quiz later or a final exam, you want to know which questions are essays and which questions are not essays. That is done. I'm going to click done at the bottom right. I'm going to go to the plus button to create a new question. And this time I'm going to choose fill in the blank. You would use this mostly for things like languages where you need them to know how to spell the word, or you want to give them a word bank. Fill in the blank, module 3, quiz. What color is a blueberry? To give the correct answer, I'm going to use a backtick. Where is the backtick? It is located on the top of your keyboard to the left of the 1. I'm going to type in blue and then another backtick. This creates an open entry for me with that contains the word blue. It says contains blue here, but I can choose close enough, and this way it won't recognize upper and lower case. Another option I have is to give other answers that could be appropriate. So if a student wants to write blue, here I would have to also put the capital blue if I don't want it to care about the case. I would put purple maybe, and capital purple, maybe violet, and lowercase violet. This is all of the answers that I would accept, and that is one option. Now, what if I want to create a word bank? Then I can do the word bank, or I can do a drop down. So the drop down will give them possible answers, and they would have to choose the right one from the drop down. I would choose orange and yellow, and now they'll have a drop down. I'm going to leave it as a drop down here so we can see what that looks like later. Now we have our drop down where students would be able to choose that. Let's create an essay question. At the plus sign, I'm going to name this E for essay and module 3 quiz. What color is a blueberry? Do I want them to be able to use the spell check? Do I want them to have a word count? Do I want to set a word limit where there's a minimum number and a maximum number of words that they can have? And do I want to give myself some notes about how I will grade this essay to make sure that they've included the things that they need to include? And I can also align this with outcome, and I can put it in an item bank, which is a test bank. All right, I'm satisfied, so I'm going to hit done. There is my quiz. Let's go to preview to see what this quiz looks like from the student view. And I can take the quiz to see if everything is correct. Let's see what colors a blueberry. I think a blueberry is not really blue. Okay, so submit. Okay, now it gives me my score. I have a 2 out of 3 because this hasn't been graded yet. I can change the settings so that students don't know what they have yet until I finish grading these essay questions. Let's exit out of this preview. And now let's go to the settings for the course. And I have many options. I can shuffle questions, shuffle the answers. have students answer one question at a time. I can set a time limit. I can also allow multiple attempts. Maybe this is more like a knowledge survey. So I want them to keep taking the quiz as they're learning the content and take the highest grade. And I can hide results from students. We're going to go here and I'm going to show you what the difference is. So here, students, after they've taken the test, would be able to see everything, but now we're hiding certain things from them. So do we want them to see the questions? Maybe. Do we want them to see their own responses? Okay. Do we want them to be able to see these things after their last attempt or after each attempt for all attempts? Do we want them to be able to see their answers after a certain date? Do we want them to know if a response is correct or incorrect? And do we want to show points possible and show points awarded? Maybe we want them to know what the possible points are, but we don't want them to know what the points that they've gotten are until we finish grading essay questions. So this is what I would say. If you have essay questions, then do not let them see what grade they got because they will freak out if they've only gotten a 50% on the exam because you're still grading the other 50%, or you have a multiple choice test or something with closed answers, then you could allow them to see. The third option is for you to hide all of the grades in the gradebook before you assign the quiz, and then that way no one can see their scores in the gradebook. Okay, let's hit return, and this will take us back to the modules page where we have our quiz. Right now, the module is not published, nor is the quiz, so students cannot see anything in a module if the module is not published. We're going to publish module and all items. You can also publish only the module and then later publish the quiz by just clicking on the check mark here. If you see a check mark, it is published. If the module is not published, so if I unpublish the module, notice that even though this has a check mark, no student can see this. Let me show you what it looks like from the student view. Click on student view at the very top where there's eyeglasses. And notice that they cannot see module 3 here. Just because you assign something doesn't mean that they can see it. Let's leave the student view. And now let's publish this module. I'm going to go back to the student view. And now I can see that they can see the quiz here. One last thing I wanted to show you is that notice that I've disabled many of the different navigations here because students don't need to see a lot of things that they're not going to use in the course. You can always go to settings here and then to navigation. You can move the things that students don't need to see outside of the class. For example, I've moved assignments that normally would be here, and I've moved it down here to disable it. I've also moved files, pages, quizzes out of the sidebar. If they see things like this, sometimes that can be confusing. That is it for our quick intro on Canvas quizzes. If you have any questions, please reach out.